Elton John, right. Glitter, glam, those platform shoes. Like, the guy's iconic. You'd think he'd be ready to just, relax after all those years on stage. But this is Elton John, so of course he's doing things his own way. Today we're diving into his farewell Yellow Brick Road tour, and let me tell you, the things he's saying about life after music. Deep stuff. Really makes you think.
We've got some really insightful interviews, like the one in the Mirror, and there were some pretty revealing moments at the premiere of his new documentary, Elton John, Never Too Late, directed by, you guessed it, David Furnish. Get ready for a different side of Elton John, folks. Yeah. This is like behind the music, for real.
Okay, so in that Mirror interview, Elton, he gets real. Like, really real. At 77, he's basically saying, this is the last moment of my life. I think about it more when you get to my age. Wow. Just, wow. What's your reaction to hearing someone like that, a legend, talking about mortality so directly?
It's kind of humbling in a way. Because it reminds you that no matter how many hit songs you've had or how many crazy costumes you've worn, we all end up grappling with the same big questions, right? Like, what's it all about? What happens next? And for someone like Elton John, who's lived his whole life in the spotlight, to admit he thinks about these things, it makes him surprisingly relatable. Vulnerable, even.
I know, right? It's like he's just being human. And he brings up his sons, too. Zachary, who's 13, and Elijah, who's 11. He says they're aware of his age and, well, they want him around. Do you think that adds another layer to all of this, knowing his kids are old enough to understand what he's talking about?
Oh, absolutely. Can you imagine being Elton John's kid? Like, your dad's this larger-than-life figure, practically a superhero in your eyes, and now you're realizing that even dads, even famous dads, they don't live forever. That's got to be tough to process, and you can hear that awareness in the way Elton talks about it.
It's a lot to take in, for sure. And speaking of, let's talk about that documentary title for a second. Never Too Late. What do you make of that choice, considering everything we're discussing about, mortality, legacy, all that?
It's interesting, isn't it? There's almost a sense of defiance to it. Like Elton saying, yeah, I'm in the later stages of my career, but there's still so much I want to do, experience, share. It could be about him going all out for this final tour, but it also makes you think about his personal life, right? Maybe Never Too Late is about him finally embracing fatherhood, being a husband, the things he might have missed while he was busy being a rock star.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Like, he's redefined what success looks like for him.
Totally. It's not about the Grammys or the sold-out stadiums anymore.
All right.
And, at the documentary premiere, Elton said something really interesting about his early success, but we should probably save that for after we come back.
All right, so we're back. And get this. At the documentary premiere, Elton was talking about how back in the day when Rocket Man was, like, everywhere, how that early success actually made him feel kind of empty inside.
And now he's comparing that to, like, the feeling of fullness he gets from his family, his life with David. It's wild, right? Like, he's lived two completely different lives.
It's that old saying, be careful what you wish for, We see it all the time with young stars. Suddenly they have the fame, the pressure to keep having hits. It can be really isolating.
Yeah.
Easy to lose yourself in all the attention, Forget who you are when you're not performing.
And we all know about Elton's struggles, right? The addiction, finding his way. It all seems connected, doesn't it? Like, that emptiness maybe pushed him to some dark places.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, put yourself in his shoes. Incredibly talented guy, achieves all his dreams. But something's still missing.
Right.
You got to mess with your head, trying to deal with that.
And then he says this thing that really got me. Music saved me. It also nearly killed me. Whoa. Talk about a complicated relationship.
Gets to the heart of it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Music was his outlet, how he expressed himself, his gift. Right. But there was a dark side, too. All the demands, the lifestyle, it took a toll.
And maybe by facing all that, coming out the other side, his relationship with music, it changed, too.
Because these days, it seems like family comes first. David Furnish even said Elton wants to be remembered as a good dad, a good husband, more than a music icon. That really hit me, that shift in priorities.
It's a good reminder, what we think is important, our definition of success, it changes as we get older. What matters at 25 might be totally different at 50, at 75. Sounds like Elton's found a deeper meaning in his personal life.
For sure. And speaking of finding things, get this. Furnish said Elton kept diaries, handwritten ones from way back when. Diaries, can you imagine? Talk about a glimpse inside the mind of a young Elton John.
Those diaries are a goldmine.
Right.
Not just for fans who want to know all the behind-the-scenes stuff, but for anyone interested in creativity, in the person behind the fame. To read his thoughts, his feelings from back then. It's like time travel.
And it's not just that he kept them, furnished, called them beautiful. He even said there was a certain naivete to them. Makes you think about a younger, maybe even more vulnerable Elton pouring his heart out on those pages, you know?
It's fascinating. That word naivete, it suggests a kind of innocence, that unfiltered honesty you just don't see as much when people get older, more guarded.
Yeah.
And to think those diaries capture that essence of Elton John before all the fame makes you wonder what other secrets are hidden in there.
It's like we're getting a peek behind the curtain, right?
Yeah.
Seeing the real Elton John, not just a performer. And it makes you think about legacy, you know? He's saying he wants to be known as a good husband, a good father. Not about the awards or the sold-out shows anymore. It's like he's redefined what success means at this point in his life.
It really seems like it. And that's a powerful message, don't you think? For everyone, really. Success, it's not the same for everyone. It changes, just like we do.
For sure.
Elton John, for years, it was all about the music, the superstar persona. But now, sounds like he's found something more, something real in his personal life.
Yeah, and it gives this whole Farewell Yellow Brick Road tour a different feeling, doesn't it?
It's not just saying goodbye to performing. It's like he's closing the book on a whole chapter of his life, a whole version of himself.
Right.
He'll always be Elton John, the Rocket Man, but now it's like he's starting a new verse, something more down to earth, focused on those personal connections.
Exactly. It's like he's saying, look, I've had the hits, I've worn the crazy outfits, I've lived the dream, right?
Right.
But now there's something else he's looking for. And maybe just by putting it out there, sharing that journey with the world, he's giving other people permission to do the same. You know, redefine success on their own terms.
It's a pretty amazing legacy to leave behind, to basically say, it's okay to change, to decide that different things matter to you now. Elton John, this music icon, reminding us it's never too late to write your own story, to find joy in places you didn't expect. And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our own deep dive. But we want to hear from you. What stuck with you about Elton John's story? How are you defining success in your own life? Hit us up on social media and let's keep talking about it.